Every farmer knows a strong season starts long before the planter rolls. At Landis, our agronomists are here to help you choose the right seed for your fields and protect it with acre-edge seed treatments that give your crop a stronger, healthier start. And with flexible financing options, it's easier than ever to plan ahead, manage cash flow, and capture early season savings. Talk with your local Landis agronomist today and plant with confidence.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
Welcome to Farm Your Daily, a Field Forward podcast. I'm your host, David Geiger. Today on Farm Your Daily, a look at the 2025 ISU Extension Integrated Crop Management Conference with Angie Rieck-Hinz. We talk about the event and what was learned this past crop season. Please be sure to like and follow the podcast as well as our social media at Field Forward Pod. We would love to have you join our community, keeping folks informed about what is affecting our farmers. This is Farm Here Daily. And joining me on Farm Your Daily, we're going to take a look at what's happening at the annual Integrated Crop Management Conference. It's the 36th one, and joining me here is Angie Rieck-Hinz. You are one of the board members, I believe, of this conference, or?
I'm on the planning committee. Yes, I'm on the planning.
On the planning committee. Angie Rieck-Hinz on the planning committee here. Also, the North Central Iowa field agronomist at ISU Extension. Angie, thank you so much for joining me today. And I just want to talk about this conference first off. What is it? What is it about? And what do you hope to accomplish in bringing all these folks together?
Yeah, thanks, David. This is awesome, right? This is Iowa State's largest crop production conference, actually the largest crop production conference in the state of Iowa, held annually now for 36 years. We're in Altoona again this year, right? We had to move out of Ames for space considerations, but great conference, great mix of people here. So many hot topics right now, right? The whole endangered species topic we went through yesterday with a keynote and then a panel discussion. Allison has gone through her southern rust fungicide trial data. People highly interested in that. Other talks include some sulfur research by Richard Roth, our soil fertility guy. People are highly interested in sulfur applications, not only on corn, but on beans and what we're seeing. There's just a lot of really good talks. And we even did a hands-on exercise yesterday with our farm management people on how to plan, in this case, for like a cybersecurity attack, right? Like what do you do first, right? The whole planning step. And I thought that was fascinating because it was hands-on and people learn to work as a team. And I think that's what it takes for those kinds of, incidents that happen. So that was really good hands-on, not just somebody lecturing somebody.
I appreciate you bringing up the hands-on approach, but also it connects to what you've been doing all year, which is all hands-on approaches of all of this data you're bringing to the table over there at ISU Extension. Southern rust specifically, something happening this year, and hopefully not for quite a few more years in the future. It took kind of a special situation, but things like southern rust, things like adding sulfur, those are all aspects of the scientific process of agriculture and how folks navigate in creating a better and more efficient crop. And it all comes together right here. Is that right?
It does come together right here. And I think the important thing, I have to remind myself of this. I sometimes lose patience with my faculty, but research takes a while, right? Detailed research takes a while. You don't want results after 1 year. This year was a lot different than the last couple of years, right? A lot of rain in a lot of places, pretty dry the last couple of years. So you don't want results out of just 1 year. You want to look at a multi-year effect. And so it does take time. So people are constantly updating us. We're bringing new research to the table. We have a lot of new trials going on in places. We probably don't move as fast as some people want, but in reality, we get really good data in the long run and data that serves all farmers, right? Not just a 1 year location at one site, but looking at those long-term averages. I think I think having our specialists here and then our invited faculty and specialists from other states really pulls this all together, right? It's a great place. I get a lot of my information here, right? A lot of people come to get information. A lot of retailers are here. This is where they get their scientific information to help farmers make decisions as well.
I think part of the beauty of science that gets overlooked, especially when you're able to do it at a land-grant university and have many opportunities to see different things that we don't know if it will specifically make money, but it might be good or it might make money in the future for folks. I think of just the idea of having science that also just tells you what doesn't work. Because that's something that we don't see very often in a lot of studies is just saying, hey, we know that this didn't work, and then you can cut that off.
You're right. Truly the mission of the land grant university is to evaluate, inspect, research those concepts, right? And if they don't work, then the burden of proof is taken place in a research setting, right? And not on your farm where it may cost you money or specialized equipment or whatever, right? That's the whole mission of a land grant university, is to answer the questions brought to us by farmers, retailers, ag business people for our soils in Iowa, our climate in Iowa, our crops in Iowa, and to investigate those and then to report back, right? And so we really try to take on the risk of doing some of that so people don't have to. But with that being said, I also want people to try some things on their farm on their own. That's how we all learn and evaluate.
Give it that old 10 acres of trial on various processes. You mentioned that it does take a while, and a part of that is because agriculture is cyclical and normally annually in Iowa specifically. We sometimes can get a double crop for certain things, but it's not very efficient or effective this far north. So when you look at only can really try stuff once a year, like that can take a while. So how do you mitigate that? How do you work around that to make it as efficient as possible?
Well, we have, as you all know, we have a lot of outlying research farms at Iowa State University. So we spread the risk by doing those trials across multiple locations. So for example, this year in Allison's fungicide trials, she'll tell you she lost all her data at the Southwest Research Farm, right down in Southwest Iowa, the Armstrong Farm, because of a windstorm, right? But she had 5 or 6 other locations she could get data from. So we're mitigating that risk by not only doing multiple locations, we don't do just one trial, right? They're all replicated several times at each location, but then we're doing them over a course of years as well. So that's how we collect all that data. And you're right, it spatially takes time, it temporally takes time. It's not that we're trying to be stubborn about it. We just want we want to make sure we can work across various conditions.
I personally believe that agriculture is one of the frontiers of technology. When I look around, I see so many technologies that began as something of like, hey, how can we make food better? Hey, how can we grow crops better? Hey, how can we get crops to where they need to go better? And it all stems as a part of agriculture. So science, to me, when I look at agriculture research, is very much a huge pivotal part of civilization.
Oh, definitely.
And so when you are working with this and you get an opportunity to demonstrate your research and see the research of your colleagues, how does that make you feel?
I'm really excited, right? I like my extension job. I don't have day-to-day research activities. I have a few on some of the research farms, like one of the sulfur trials Richard talked about today. My colleague Gentry and I put that trial in, right? We're excited to see where that goes over the course of the next couple of years. But my job as an extension person is to synthesize that research, maybe break it down into some terms people understand, and then share it with Iowans. And I think that's the best part of my job, right? Is I get to take all that data and research, maybe put my own spin of knowledge on it, but to really get it out to people, right? And that's why Extension has field specialists, right? We're out there doing our thing. We're talking about some of this at pesticide meetings this winter, crop advantage, all these things, right? We try to hit as many people as possible, as many venues as possible. And it's just a great opportunity, right? We see some of the same people year after year. There are people at this conference today that have been coming here for all 36 years. I've been to all but 5 of them over my career at Iowa State. So it's like, we're a trusted source of information. And I think that's something that all Iowans should be proud of, is that they have an investment in their land-grant university to do these kinds of things.
What you're talking about there, and this might be a bit of a leading question because this isn't just the crop management conference, it is the integrated crop management conference. And so it seems to me you're really highlighting the integrated side of that and what you do and what this is for.
Right, not only from a research and extension point, but multiple talks have the return on investment. We're looking at the financials on those, right? So we're not just saying we're going to use product XYZ, this is what we saw. We're looking at, all right, what did the fungicide and the application cost? How effective was it? What was the return on investment? So it's integrated across, right? Not just crop production, but water quality, crop protection, financial management. So integrated comes a whole lot. It means a lot of things in this conference, right? And it's not just crops. There's insects, there's diseases, drone applications, right? Planter technology. There's all kinds of things that have been buried into this conference, and that's what makes it integrated.
On another aspect of both agriculture research and what you all are doing here, I think of just the scope of agriculture and how much it encompasses when it comes to diverse lands, climates, regions, soil types. There's just so many. And when you deal with integration, it means sometimes you're putting what you know into a situation that you don't know how it might react. And so how do you balance having this research that you're confident under these conditions it works, and then finding out in these conditions it may not work as well, or maybe it exceeds how much it works? It's difficult to know because there's so much diversity.
You're right. But that's part of the vetting process. Is just because the research didn't turn out the way you wanted it to doesn't mean you didn't learn anything, right? You can say, well, we found out this didn't work. And that in itself is research, and it is an answer to the question behind the research, right? So I think that's something important that people should remember is you hear the positive sides of all the research that goes on. You might not hear the research that doesn't turn out the way we think, because who would be interested in that, right? So, but just because something worked, that's great. But because it didn't work also means you've learned something from that. So it's both sides.
It is both sides. So I guess what should be the takeaway of folks who came and visited, farmers, other researchers, colleagues, all watching the fruits of the labor of 2025? What should be a focus to you? What should be a takeaway from everybody?
I think the biggest takeaway from this conference is the fact that we multiply our reach through this conference, right? We have a lot of retailers here. We have a lot of seed people here. They're involved in our research, whether they're sponsoring research, whether they're helping us locate trials. Maybe they're found a farmer for us to work with. But they're getting those results, and then they're using those results in their business models, right? How many times should we spray that fungicide, right? There's scientific proof there of what worked and what maybe didn't work this year, but they can expand that reach, the capacity of Iowa State Extension, and get that message out to their clients who couldn't be here today.
I think that's a really important takeaway. I appreciate you bringing that up because it makes me think of the difficulties that you face in terms of looking at other people's research and then trying to replicate it yourself. That's the part of the scientific process, trying to replicate what other people have done. Do you think that a lot of retailers or businesses, agribusinesses, take a look at your research here and then go, hey, I want to try this with my product specifically, or I want to work with this specifically under situations that my customers have?
I do think that happens on a pretty big scale, right? People come here, they see things, and just for that reason, they want to experiment with their products specifically or under certain maybe soil conditions, right? Sandy or maybe not so sandy soil. I do think farmers are doing a lot more of that themselves with on-farm trials. They learn how to set up those trials and what to evaluate, and I think that also is a mission of ours, right? Is you extend the knowledge, but you allow people to apply that to their own situation. And that's really where the learning takes place.
So just as a final note, a final comment, what would you say is one of the most important research that you've seen going on this year? You've mentioned a whole bunch, and maybe I shouldn't say the most important, but something that really stuck out to you that might work specifically with the folks that you serve.
I saw a talk yesterday from one of our digital ag guys on the impacts on tillage, on planting, right? From seed spacing, planter rideability, right? Is that planter bouncing or not? I think I learned a lot from that. And I think we can probably do a lot better in the spring when it comes to planting by managing our previous tillage, by looking at whether it's wet or dry or clods or whatever. We can probably get a much more even stand and much more even emergence if we take some time to look at those situations in advance of pulling that planter into the field. And I found that fascinating. So I feel good. I learned something.
Angie Rieck-Hinz is here. She is an agronomist in North Central Iowa for ISU Extension. Angie, thank you so much for your time on Farming Daily.
Thank you, and I hope you can all join us in December next year, right here, back here at Prairie Meadows in Altoona. It would be awesome to have everybody here.
This is Farm Your Daily, a Field Forward podcast. Thank you for listening. Again, in order to continue to produce this type of local content, we would love to have you join our community, so please follow the podcast as well as our social media channels at Field Forward Pod. You can also find me on social media at Geiger Reports. Again, I am your host, David Geiger, and I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.